my name is Nicole and today I have with me Marissa Meyer, author of such wonderful books such as Heartless, The Lunar Chronicles, and most recently Wires and Nerves. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Yeah, so we're here, not here Brick and Mortar Books, but we are in general here for the grand opening of Brick and Mortar Books in Redmond Town Center. Seattle area, Redmond, if any of you guys are in that area, please come visit. It's a great store. So a lot of the books you've written so far, I know you have Renegades coming out, which is a little bit different, have been fairy tale adaptations. Lunar Chronicles is very sci-fi, and Heartless is very fantasy. How do you approach those two such vastly different genres?
You know, I think every story is gonna be different when it comes to the world building. And when you're entering this story and you know what the genre is, you know, you're always kind of thinking about that world and that plot and those characters in terms of that genre. So of course with the Lunar Chronicles, the original idea concept behind it was science fiction fairy tales. So from the very beginning I was always thinking, okay, what sorts of technology is there going to be? You know, how do they travel from place to place? What are the politics like in this futuristic world? Cinder being a cyborg, well, what does that mean? What are her cyborg, you know, what is her cyborgness? What does that translate to? Whereas alternatively with something like Heartless, knowing that it was going to be fantasy, knowing that it was set in Wonderland, you know, which was a lot to live up to because people are in love with Wonderland already. But it's a completely different way of thinking about that world as opposed to thinking technology and science and engineering. I was thinking more, you know, whimsy and nonsense and just trying to make it as fantastical as I could. So you just kind of approach each one in different ways.
Yeah. So there's so many different characters in Lunar Chronicles, and we see from a lot of their different points of view. Are there any characters that were more difficult to get into their heads or easier to get into their heads?
Yes, there's always, in every book, there's some that come really naturally and some that don't come naturally. Definitely, in the Lunar Chronicles specifically, the easiest ones for me were Captain Thorn and Eco, which are also kind of I would say, the most fun, humorous characters. So maybe I just like writing the fun, humorous ones. But both of those characters, they were very strong, independent characters from the beginning, and they themselves just kind of knew who they were. They knew exactly where they wanted to be. Their personalities just felt set from the first moment they showed up on the page. So as a writer, it felt like I didn't really have to do much. They just existed, and I just kind of tried to follow them along. Alternatively, there are always characters that need a little bit more nudging, a little bit more exploration. Scarlet I struggled with a lot. In the earliest drafts of writing Scarlet's story, she was much more kind of mopey and whiny, and she had good reason for it because all these horrible things were happening in her life. But it wasn't until I realized that yes, all these things, horrible things are happening, but this is not how she would react to these things. She would be the type of person that would get angry and be determined to change it. And it wasn't until I made that realization about who she was and how she would react that her character really started coming together. So there's always, you know, some come together really easy and some not so much.
So with Heartless, and in this, it's not your first villain origin story, you did Ferris too, but with Heartless, it's such a dramatic change from, she's so sweet in the beginning and obviously she's the Queen of Hearts. How do you make that evolution feel so natural?
Oh good, I'm so glad you thought it was natural.
I mean, at least I think it works.
Thank you. You know, that's an excellent question. It's something that I had in mind from the first starts of conceptualizing the story, because I knew that I didn't want to write a villain origin story in which she was a villain at the beginning. I wanted readers to connect with her, I wanted them to like her. So from that you start with what I hope is a very kind of lovable character that readers are really going to be rooting for. That even though most readers go into the book knowing that she becomes the Queen of Hearts, I wanted readers as they're reading it to be thinking, no, but fight it, Kath, fight it. And so I had that, you know, that kind of challenge set up really in the very fabric of the story. And from there, I just kind of started thinking, well, what sorts of things would have to happen to this character in order to drive her down this road, this path? And also, what sorts of decisions would she make that, one, are natural to her character, that are believable to her character, but that also, you know, push her down this more villainous road, as opposed to some other character who might make a different choice and go a different direction.
Out of the worlds you've written, would you rather have to live on Luna or in Wonderland?
Oh, definitely Wonderland. Definitely Wonderland. Who doesn't want to live in Wonderland? Yeah, no question about that. I loved writing in Lewis Carroll's Wonderland. And part of the reason that I loved writing in it is because even though Lewis Carroll gave us so many fantastic characters, the world of Wonderland was really left very unexplored. And so there was so much, as a writer, there was just so much potential, so many different places I could go with it. So it was really just like playing. It was like a kid in a candy store when I wrote it. And the one thing that I was always trying to push myself as I created the world was just trying to make it as fun and frivolous, and really trying to bring in that same nonsense that Lewis Carroll gave us. And that made it fun, and it became this world where you just never knew what was gonna happen. And I think that would be a very exciting place to be.
Sounds good. All right, so I know you have an event to be at, so I wanna wrap things up, but just before you go, do you have any books that you've read recently or that you know are coming out soon that you think either your readers would love or that you just really, really loved and you think that everyone watching should read?
Yes, so the book that I read and loved most recently was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Of course, Laini Taylor is amazing in everything she does, but this one really, really spoke to me, and I just loved the world and loved the characters. The other one that actually, it's coming out in Australia next month, but it was just announced as a US release next year, 2017, 2018, is Lin Tang and the Pirate Queen by Tamara Moss, who was actually one of my beta readers. And so I got to read this book like way, way, way back when, but it's brilliant. It's a middle grade about this really headstrong, I think she's 12-year-old girl who gets adopted onto this pirate ship of just this all amazing female crew, and they go off and fight mythological creatures and have this wonderful adventure, and it's so much fun.
Oh, that sounds so cool. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you, and I will see you later.